Coming at you from the Steel City, you're listening to Poor Man's Podcast, Pittsburgh's premier comedy podcast. Your weekly dose of humor, hosted by Chris Hopper and with a new special guest. And here's... Woo! Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Poor Man's Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. Along with me, as always, it's the wonderful, it's the talented, it's the beautiful, it's the Danny Kaufman. Danny, how are you this week?
I am so great, guys. I am so happy to be here. I can't believe it's the last episode of 2023, which is crazy.
Crazy.
So crazy. So many bamboozlements.
So many.
So many.
We were actually listening. Well, you know what? I'm going to finish introducing everybody before I go on a tangent. That'll probably way longer than I need it to be.
Okay.
So joining us as well, we have the wonderful, the talented, the beautiful Shaylee, baby. Shay, how are you this week?
Doing so good, Chris. Happy to be here. Happy to be with you guys.
Trying to get connected online, and it's the word. Oh, there it goes. Perfect. And joining us as well is the wonderful, is the talented, is the beautiful, is Steve Hofstetter, ladies and gentlemen.
I was really wondering if I was going to get beautiful. And I'm glad, because I don't want to be in a sexist podcast.
Good. Oh, yeah. I wanted to save the best for last, even, Steve. So, yeah.
Even Steve.
Yeah. I didn't. That sounded like I was trying to do some kind of Disney show remake. But we are here at 565 live, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so be sure to follow us on that. But we are here at 565 live in Bellevue. Stop down on Thursdays. Every other Thursday they do live comedy. Stop down on Friday and Saturday for live music. Every week they have live music, live bands, and sometimes they do comedy every other Thursday, and the other ones they do open mic, I think, music. So always stop down. Super cool vibe down here. Stop upstairs for some of the awesome food. Shay, you got your meatball hoagie, which we
I got my
agreed
meatball
is
hoagie today.
possibly the best meatball hoagie around.
It actually is. It's the greatest meatball sub I've ever had. It's fantastic. I know, Danny, you want to know.
I'll
but
take your word for it.
yeah, it's so good. Every part of it, including the bread, is amazing.
Yeah.
Gotta have a good bread.
Gluten-free, you just hate meatballs.
I hate meatballs.
Oh, that was not the answer. I thought.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a pescatarian.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. So it's not that you hate meatballs specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
The meat
Yeah.
part,
That
I think
would
that's
be
what she
amazing
hates.
if you're like, no, I eat meat, just not in the shape of ball.
Yeah.
I just
Strictly
won't do a
cube.
meatball.
Flat, straight, cubed, pulled.
Ripped.
All that.
No
ball.
balls.
No balls allowed.
I'm just picturing her with those like big Maker's Mark block, like cubes of meat in her freezer. It's the only way I'll eat it, like a Wendy's patty.
Wow, that would be a really good cause. That'd be a great bumper sticker, too.
Agreed.
Very wordy. You'd
Agreed.
probably have to find a shorter way of saying everything.
No balls.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
balls.
there you go.
For me.
No balls for me.
I think that bumper sticker means something else.
I think you're right.
It probably exists already.
And on the
Find
other
it.
end, I don't think anybody
Ew.
with truck nuts also has an IQ in triple digits ever. And
IQs are only in double and triple digits. Like, have you ever seen those reels where they'll be like 1,000 IQ? And I'm like, no, that's too much.
yeah, that's a lie.
Are you sure?
Oh, but
Sure.
you know what, Danny? Before we stray too far,
Yes.
you want to hit that rundown bell for us?
Fuck, you forgot the maraca.
We're gonna just have a super cut of November of you just like fuck the maracas.
I have talked
be
about these
awesome, man.
maracas for 2 months.
Oh well, it gives us something to look forward to in 2024. Oh my God, I want to puke.
I know.
I brought maracas. You want me to get mine?
Yes, please.
I was gonna say he stays prepared.
Give me a minute.
He has them in his case. That'd be awesome if he had a case with just like, you know how like the hand bells come in all the different octaves and stuff. Oh yeah, that's my
I would like it to
alto
be
maracas.
like a giant case, but just with one maraca. Like just the rest of the foam is protecting it.
Yeah. Just multiple layers of
A
the
light
foam.
comes on.
Right as soon as you open it,
Like in
it's
Pulp
shining.
Fiction when they open up the case.
That's what was in the case.
Yeah, it's a single maraca.
Single maraca and one of those little touch lights.
Oh, that's funny.
That would be awesome just to do like the 360-degree camera shot on that into it for Marcellus Wallace. But yeah, let's see. Rundown. We are here opening thoughts. We're already hitting on some of those. Danny, I have to say thank you. I'll post a picture. She got me a birthday cake, which is incredible, and she got me a bunch of crow stickers. So, Danny, applause for you. The cake is with the crow mask on, which is it's a good picture. It's an interesting picture.
Find.
But yeah, well,
Fantastic.
so thank you again,
It's
Danny.
so good.
A great gift giver, Shay. You're also a great gift giver. We were talking about that earlier, and tis the season, so you know,
Tis the
good for you,
season.
man. Wrapping up 2023, I wanted to. Well, Shay and I were talking about some of the things that happened in 2023, so we wanted to just touch on a couple things from this year because it doesn't even feel like they were from this year. We have guest Steve Hofstetter, obviously. We want to talk to him about comedy, Steel City Arts, Sunken Bus Studios, and we want to talk to him about his movie, right?
I mean, that's up to
Handyman
you what
from
you
Hell.
want to talk to me.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I am open to all subjects.
That's what I'd like to talk to you about, all of those things.
Excellent. Also, just so you know, I got you nothing for your birthday.
Perfect. I was going to say something that was going to get really sad about my family, and I'm not going to take it that way. But, and then we're going to end it with the new news with Danny Kaufman.
I, like your family, got you nothing.
There we go. There we go.
No, my family's great. Let's see. Now, Shay, actually, we'll talk about that in a minute, because I want to talk to Steve first. And, Steve, you were just doing that Handyman from Hell movie like I was just talking about. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to know, because my main question is going to be about Sunken Bus Studios.
Okay.
Was that shot at there or with any kind of...
So, Handyman
run-in?
from Hell was
Yes.
shot at Steel City Arts Foundation.
Okay.
All but one of the days. There was one day we shot in L.A.
Okay.
But everything else was shot in and around the building. Sunken Bus actually came from that shoot because working with Brian and Cody Hartman, who are just amazingly talented and both Pittsburgh people, and they're shooting movies all over the world. And I was like, hey, we're all here. Why don't we do more stuff here? And I was also so impressed by the crew that Brian assembled. It's the best crew I've ever worked with. Yeah. And almost everything else I've shot has been in New York or LA. And so to have so much talent here, we're like, why don't we kind of take advantage of that? And not take advantage of it in a bad way. Yeah. But like, why don't we shoot more stuff here? And so we started, just kind of looking around at buildings, and there were two that were really interesting. One that we ended up not going with was a former municipal building this thing was 40,000 square feet. And it had jail cells in it. Oh, so we're like, for filming, that's awesome.
Right.
We're just gonna every movie we write, we'll have a jail scene. You're like, romantic comedy? Who cares? They go to jail. We have one.
Brooks was there.
But the building was left vacant 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And since then, it has just been ransacked. But what's crazy is that when they got, because like they left it, they didn't the municipality didn't go out of business. They just got a better building.
Yeah.
And they left a lot of stuff behind, including permit applications. You know what permit applications have? Social Security numbers.
Yeah, a lot of information.
There were dozens of file cabinets filled with people's personal information. And just that alone, I was like, oh, we should just buy the building just to get this. Just imagine what this is worth on the black market.
Take advantage of so many people at that point.
That's the way to take advantage of people.
It's a good deal.
But no, it was just that building had way too much. We wouldn't have been open for 3-4 years easy. But then we saw the one in Ross, which is Sunken Bus, and they've got this finished audio studio, and that now Red Cayman is a tenant. They moved up there, and it's such a cool space. And so it has no jail, but it's got everything else. So who knows? There's a basement. We can see what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw that together. And how long did that take you to film, and then I know you were in it. You did a great job in it, by the way.
Thank you.
Did you have any kind of say in the writing of that? Any kind of I know Jay Black directed, right?
Jay Black wrote it.
Or he wrote it.
Cody Hartman directed.
Okay.
Brian Hartman produced. I was also a producer. So the filming question is the easiest question. We filmed in 12 days over the course of 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was insanely quick, but that's also because we didn't have to move location.
Yeah.
And that's the most timely and most time consuming and the most expensive thing about shooting a movie is packing up all the gear every 2 days.
Yeah.
But thankfully we didn't have to do that, which, made it a lot quicker. And also some of the big cameos are on Zoom purposefully. Like they were the idea they were going to be in this Zoom sequence. And so we're like, why don't we just shoot it on Zoom and not have to fly 3 more people in? So that made it easier also. In terms of like how it started as a joke. This was not supposed to be a movie. I was in a movie that Jay wrote called, for Lifetime, called Psycho Storm Chaser.
Okay.
If that's Lifetime. And it came out during COVID, and so we had this digital watch party. And during one of the commercial breaks, Jay and I are just talking and just being stupid. He's a very old friend of mine, and that's just what we do. And so we were like throwing out ideas for other professions because he had also, I guess I skipped one thing. I was also in a movie he wrote called Psycho Yoga Instructor. This is a theme in Lifetime. So as a joke, I was like, hey, what about someone who's renovating an old church? Because that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And, got a laugh. It was fun, whatever. And then afterward, Jay and I were talking, and I was like, if we actually wanted to do that, how would that go? And so he kind of took me through the process, and I said, I think I want to do that. And we came up with the story together. So like the outline of the story. And then he wrote the script. He, added some characters, changed some things, because he knows script writing way better than I do. And also, he knows what sells to Lifetime. Here's a fun little tip. You ever want to sell a movie to Lifetime? They look for 2 things. 1, handsome bad guy.
Yeah.
Which, when he told me that, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I realized, I was like, you cast me as the good guy. He's like, yep, I did. So, and then the other thing is, and this is weird, a nice kitchen.
Oh.
They love showing a nice kitchen. It is their little HGTV piece of it. And
You
so
don't think about that's
they do.
They always have a nice open flowing kitchen with a nice little thing above the oven, the vent, the double ovens even sometimes, a nice island.
That's so a nice island for sure.
The
Yeah,
island.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we changed the plot from renovating an old church. We still reference that it's in a church, but just we concentrate that she's renovating her kitchen. And so we did that purposefully.
Wow.
They're like, you're in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew that, like, we were writing a movie that was, like, probably going to sell to Lifetime, but, we could have potentially, Tubi or Netflix or someone else who's buying, but we wanted to write a movie that was Lifetime adjacent.
Okay, yeah.
And what I mean by that is it's got the tropes.
Yeah.
There's a part where she's running away and she falls down.
Yeah.
Because there has to be.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, there were stuff that we leaned into because we thought it was fun.
Self-aware.
Yeah. There's other things in it that make it a bit of a departure. There's, the Zoom sequence is with Michael Ian Black and Frank Caliendo and Vic DiVitetto, who are all hilarious.
Yeah.
That scene was almost all improv. And it's funny because you'll see in the comments, like when people were watching it live when it first aired on Lifetime, people are this joke's going on too long, and it's like no, this is the funny part. Funny's good, but their core demo isn't used to one of the movies being funny. Yeah, exactly.
Which sounds awful for me to say, like on Lifetime, get back to the kitchen kind of thing. But I guess that's what they want.
Pretty
man.
much what they were saying.
Yeah.
They were like, we want to come on, we want to see the dishes.
Yeah.
It was a little silly, but
Zoom in on that island immediately.
Yeah, I love stuff like that, man.
yeah. Weirdly enough, the island does feature pretty heavily.
Oh, yeah. Does it have the sink on the island? I can't remember.
The sink is on the island.
Yeah.
yes.
That's key.
bougie.
That's key.
some fancy shit
Now,
right there.
most of the movie, you can't see much of the kitchen because it's under construction.
Yeah.
But then there's like a reveal. You can see the finished kitchen.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's the sell right there.
Oh, it's perfect.
I seen a video where you were talking about like how you were going to be like whenever it was first being shown somewhere, and you were like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to talk about it watch the movie with you. So like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
do you do in the beginning? Like when you talk about it, do you just kind of like your own, like you're a verbal trailer kind of thing?
Kind of. I mean, not a trailer as much, like a little bit behind the scenes. So we did 2 live screenings so far, one in Denver, one in Minneapolis. And so, I do a quick little intro welcoming people, thanking them for, this is kind of the little movie that could. Like I said, it started as a joke, and now, like, we have it in a couple of theaters, and we retained VOD rights, and we actually might know this week if it sells international.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, there's it just keeps going. People really like it. It's I should say the people who get it really like it.
Yeah.
Like the people who want it to be all comedy are disappointed. The people who want it to be all Lifetime are disappointed. The idea is that we're threading the needle.
Yeah.
Most of what I do on the live ones is afterward. We'll do like a Q&A. I'll tell behind the scenes stories. In Minneapolis, we did a costume contest. We encourage people to dress like handymen. And the cool thing about Minneapolis is literally there were 5 people who did not know there was a costume contest,
And they dressed
but
like
dressed as if they were in the costume contest. Because it's winter in Minneapolis, and people are going to wear heavy flannel. And that's just how it works.
That's funny.
That would be so funny, winning a costume contest that
And
you didn't
don't
know you
even
were.
know it. Yeah,
One of the we ended
no
up
idea.
with a tie, and of the 2 people who won, one put a lot of effort into it, and one literally just showed up. But we had the audience vote, and they liked him a lot. So.
Oh, that's funny. But how is do you have any plans for other shooting movies? Are you currently working on anything at Sunken Bus or at Steel City?
Yeah, so Sunken Bus is almost open. We're so close. We're putting like the last couple touches on it. We're installing like the fire alarm system and redoing the bathrooms and stuff like that. And so hopefully we'll be able to shoot stuff there starting next year. We already have a couple of shows scheduled, but one script is already in the works, which, without giving too much away, it's based in the world of reality TV, but it's also a thriller. So it's a fun twist on a reality show. And so Jay is writing that now. Already saw the second draft, I think, and it's super fun. And also Frank Caliendo had so much fun in Handyman from Hell that like he asked us, can you write something bigger for me in the next one? And we're like, yes. Yeah. So one of the parts is written specifically for him. And then if we end up selling this internationally, I think that there'll be enough interest to do a sequel. And the cast, in a weird, like everyone on the set got along. Which is
huge.
The first time that's happened in the history of movies. Like that just simply doesn't happen. And like the main cast, we all have like a group chat we still talk to each other in, and so we're sitting around. It's probably 3-4 days from the end, and we're like, we really want to do a sequel, and like everybody was like, yeah, we got to do a sequel. We got to work together again. And then one of the characters who dies was like, wait. What about me? And
you don't have to do a sequel.
Yeah, well,
we do a prequel.
We came up with the idea of a sequel being half prequel, half sequel. So you kind of see the events that led up to the first movie, and then the horror that happens. So that's the hope. Yeah. So we'll see.
A lot of like sepia tone memories with him in it.
Exactly. You're like, oh, remember him? We miss him.
Like he always used to say.
Yeah. But there was so a lot of the extras and the smaller parts are played by Pittsburgh comedians, especially people from Steel City. And so Mark Shimkitz plays a character named Patrick who gets kidnapped. He doesn't have any lines, but he does have some screams. And so he gets tied up in it and like thrown into the back of a van. And but you don't see him killed. You just you see the van door close and you assume. So on Twitter during the premiere, all these people were like, "What happened to Patrick?" Is Patrick still in the van? What's going on with Patrick? And then there started being this thing where people were like, justice for Patrick. And so I really, in the prequel, because his character is just, one of the contractors.
Yeah.
And so in the prequel, I just want to have a scene where he's like an apprentice.
Yeah.
Just to show like the evolution of Patrick before things went downhill.
Or maybe a whole Patrick spinoff preview.
Oh, absolutely. It's just him fixing stuff. That's all
just
it is.
some learning on the job.
Yeah.
Simply Patrick.
Oh, I love it. I think we might even have Mark coming in next month. So we'll have to talk to him about his,
ask him about what it was like to be tied up.
Yeah. How do all the Steel City people that are part of it, do they like, I mean, obviously if they're part of it, they like acting, but it's really cool to have this, at least in this area, where somebody can experience that. I can't imagine a lot of other cities have, the technology or somebody like you who's there to have a place for people to experience things like this.
Well, it was fun. There were comics who were, just kind of visiting the set to see how it's all done. Because a lot of people if you've never been on a movie set, you don't understand that it is so boring most of the time. Like most of the time, you're shooting 4 different angles of someone taking 3 steps.
Yeah.
Because you just need to show that they're walking in a room.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of downtime on it. But there's also there's exciting stuff. Like we had a fight scene. So we had like a fight choreographer teaching us how to fight.
Yeah.
We had an intimacy coordinator, which
No.
was wild because there's some spicy scenes in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other stuff, and just seeing I think the lighting was the most fascinating thing, because there are scenes that were shot at night that look like daylight because of just how they know how to do it. And there were shots that were, during the day that, look like it's 3 a.m. And it's really incredible that, and they work so quickly too. In terms of the, the comedians, for the extras, I put out an open call just to the local comedy scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, who's interested? And, obviously I know the people who are part of the Steel City Arts Foundation better than I know comics who aren't. But also, we had a couple comics who weren't involved in it too, that, you're interested, submit your headshot, submit your resume, we'll see. And he didn't get it, but, when we were doing the casting, Andreas O'Rourke was very close to getting one of the leads.
Oh.
He was great.
Yeah.
But he's got a background in acting, and so this is a way he can audition for something. And we want more of that kind of stuff. David Santiago, who played one of the characters, he's local. And so it's great to be able to have people be part of it. And then, sometimes people realize that it's harder than it looks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, with Steel City Arts Foundation, we have guys like Learn More, and we've had Ronnie on. And do you ever have anything for like just these are the Steel City people we have in? This is our show. Do you have like a showcase that you do for the people that come in with just the Steel City people? And I know you do things like on Sunday you have like the Patreon things that people can watch.
Yeah, with it's kind of a booked open mic. We were doing shows at Hop Farm for a while that were almost everyone on it was Steel City Arts comedians. And then we would have, a short spot or two that we would look at as almost an audition spot, a way to get to know comedians better that aren't part of the foundation. And, a number of them ended up being part of the foundation. It's something that with Sunken Bus so close on the horizon, I'm kind of concentrating all my, I guess, promotional ability to there.
Yeah.
So that, we're not spread too thin. But one of the things that we're going to be doing in the new year is Steel City can't be open to the public yet just because of zoning. We're still going through that process. It is exhaustive and expensive and frustrating. But meanwhile, we are, we have more staff than we did before. We have more resources than we did before. And so one of the things we're going to be doing in the new year, we haven't made this announcement yet, is we're going to be opening up the facility more to non-member comedians, so that even though membership is free, it both takes a little because we have to get to know somebody, and also at the very least, you have to be doing stand-up for at least a year seriously in order to do it. We don't want to offer membership to someone who, 2 months later just goes, I want to go into realty. Like, if you do, that's great, but that's not what this is for.
Right.
But what we're going to start doing is, there's still going to be a vetting process, and this because, we want to make sure it's a safe environment for everybody. But we're going to start allowing non-members to utilize the equipment, to utilize the podcast studio, to even come over and play ping pong if they want.
Yeah.
Just because, we want it to be a little more open than it currently is.
Yeah. Well, I know from Danny and I stopped down. Geez, when was that not, Danny? Was that over the summer?
It was around Memorial Day, I believe.
Yeah. And saw the whole place, and it was incredible. And I actually saw a couple pictures. I think Maddie Malloy posted from doing something at Sunken Bus. I just saw some of the lighting and everything. It's just incredible. So I'm really excited to see when you have everything open or when they allow you with the zoning. I'm sure they just make you jump through hoops so they can make some money on it. But
well, there, I do understand that there is, a safety aspect, and there are, codes you have to reach. But like, for instance, for Sunken Bus, we are currently applying for a variance because they want us to put a ramp to the stage. And it's like, well, yeah, we would do a portable ramp. They're like, no, you have to do a permanent ramp. And I was like, for the stage?
yeah.
Like, it's not going to be used that often.
Yeah.
And, most of what we're doing in that space is not about the stage. And to be able to, but it's this ancient code. And also, it has to be a 17-foot ramp because of how high the stage is. And, so you need a certain grade.
Yeah, right.
And so that would cut so much off the stage. And it's like, hey, if we can accomplish the same thing by getting a wheelchair lift or by getting a portable ramp to make sure it's accessible, can we do that? And so even that process is going to, just the application is like $400.
Yeah.
And so, not to mention the, even the portable ramp is like $5,000.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that if you're ever thinking of like buying a building, don't. And then get mad at yourself for even considering it. But I am excited for how it's developing.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can sell some Social Security numbers or something.
Yeah, bought the wrong building.
No joke or numbers. But Steve, where can everybody find you? Find Sunken Bus? Find any movies you might have coming out? Find anything?
If anybody wants to watch Handyman from Hell, you go to handymanfromhell.com. It's just on VOD. You can buy it or rent it. It's also Lifetime Movie Network is airing the crap out of it. So if you have that, you can check it out there too. In terms of me, just at Steve Hofstetter. Steel City AF is at Steel City AF on pretty much everything. Sunken Bus is at Sunken Bus on pretty much everything. And I have a show scheduled there for, I believe, February 10th.
Okay.
So you can get tickets for that on my website or on Sunken Bus's website. We have Kristen Key. It's going to be there in January. And one thing I'm really excited about, Kevin Eggleston, who started doing a comedy show here at 565. He is putting together a show where comedians play Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
And so we're going to be doing that. I think it's in April. But I'm really excited about that because
I'm sure a lot of people are actually.
So is that a live show?
Yeah.
It's a live show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so
That's wild.
it's this whole thing where people can be part of it and like suggest stuff. And, yeah. And so I don't play myself.
Yeah.
But two of the guys I tour with regularly, like we have Mondays off. When I'm on tour so that I can do like a digital live stream and they schedule their D&D around it. So Monday is their get very drunk and very high and play D&D with other comedians night. So I'm excited to see if I can get them to come into Pittsburgh to do that.
Yeah,
too.
that